Hello, this is Sky streaming to you live from the Twitch network. I'm going to start doing a series of videos of actually building a video game right here online live. Uh, Going to go through all the motions, going to solve all the technical problems, and build the game engine, put the art in there, the whole bit. And I encourage you to join in. It's going to be live between 7:30 and 8:30 every weekday. Sometimes on weekends if I've got time, and at night. It takes time to build a game. But I'm going to also archive these all on YouTube. I'll have a link to my YouTube channel. You guys can follow along if you get left behind, and you can just get caught right up. This is for you guys. I've been enjoying building games my whole life, and I want to share that. You guys can jump in on Twitch live. You can make feature requests. You can ask questions. You can ask me to explain something, and I'll explain it to you. I want you guys to learn how to make games. At the end of this, I want you to be able to confidently understand how the game development cycle works, and you can grab the source code and play with it. So let's get started. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a programming language called haxe. Haxe is a programming language that compiles out to all sorts of other programming languages. Makes things really, really convenient. And if you want me to go in more detail, I can. Just ask. Drop something on YouTube, drop something on Switch. You guys are important. So here, if we go ahead and install haxe, you just go ahead and install the installer from any of these platforms. If you don't have one of these, you're probably a better developer than I am, and so you should be teaching me how to make games. But that's let's just install one of these. So I'm running a Mac, so I've got mine installed on my Mac. I do all my development on my Mac. I just find that the development tools are they just fit me better. I'm not going to say they're better, but they fit me better. And so after you get haxe installed, and if you can't get it installed or you're having trouble, just drop me a line. I'll do another live stream. I'll record a video, show you how to install it. I want you guys to get you started on this. So if you get haxe installed, you should be able to type haxe on the command line, and it'll give you some output. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can read it. So I can read it. Maybe I'm just getting old. And so once that's installed, we can really start rolling here. I generally put all my stuff into my programming directory. Some people do it their code directory. I recommend sticking it into a special directory so it doesn't get muddied up with all of your other fun stuff that you do in your life. Or if you share a computer with your girlfriend or your parents or something, probably want to keep all your code out of their way. Code can get kind of messy. We try and stay as clean as we can. Next, we're gonna use a game framework, mostly for rendering, called Kha. It's a multi-platform, runs with haxe really well. We can target Windows, we can target Mac, we can target Linux, Android, HTML5, Flash, Tizen, PlayStation, Xbox, Unity. Pretty much got all our bases covered. If you want to make a game for pretty much any modern system, Kha can do it for you. And maybe we'll get into that later. We'll definitely get into that later. Probably we will, because I want to, and I want to explore some of PlayStation, Xbox. I've mostly been building PC games. So let's get this installed. We're just going to go to download. Get started assumes that shows you how to install haxe. By the way, all the stuff I'll be using is going to be free or some sort of community edition. I don't want people paying for stuff to build games if we don't have to. If you want to build buy commercial tools, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. Commercial tools are great. One of the tools I'm going to use to develop has a community version, and it's also a commercial version. I've bought it a few times. Great tool is called IntelliJ, and we'll install that as well. So this is how we get started here. Core Studio. This is, like I said, this is a different editor. I don't run I like running IntelliJ. Maybe we'll do Core Studio one of these days. Maybe next time. Why not? But for now, we'll stick with IntelliJ. I've got it all set up. Maybe tomorrow we'll install Core Studio and see how that works out for us. Next, we can install Kha to haxe. I've already got it installed. I guess I could install it again. Haxe install Kha. This has already got installed, but it would install all the dependencies for us. Haxe is just a tool to get all of our libraries installed. We'll be using that frequently. Next, we're going to go to what I prefer is actually checking it out straight from GitHub. And if you've never heard of GitHub, GitHub is a place to share software. It's the best thing ever. It's one of my favorite websites, probably because I love writing software. And so I recommend starting a GitHub account right away. It's free, and it's a great way to learn how to write code. So what I'm going to do, actually, here's my GitHub account here, Skylar Parr. Notice my crazy scientist face. I'm going to put this entire repo up on GitHub and just tag every day. And so you can follow along. You can look at the history of how this has evolved, the changes we've made, the decisions we've made, the horrible decisions we've made, the good decisions we've made. But I'm going to build this engine in this game so that we can make changes. So I'd like to have it in the end where I'm playing with you guys, playing the game we built. And if we don't like a feature, if we find a bug, you can request a feature, you can send a pull request, and let's make it our own. Why not? Let's do this. So let's go back to installing this. I'm just going to copy and paste it right here, and I'm actually going to call it live game, so that it's not just the empty directory, and we'll rename things as they go. And we'll just let it go. I was practicing this last night. Let's try this again. So this is going to download Kha, it's going to download haxe, and a few other tools that make Kha work. So this will take just a few moments. So kind of getting back to what we're going to build, like I said, we're going to build the game engine. Kha's a little bit new for me. So you're going to see me kind of get frustrated. You might see me confused, guessing, trying to solve problems. It's all the part of the software development process. Happens to the best of us. Hopefully I won't spend too much time thinking. I'll probably, when I send these up to YouTube, I'll probably edit out some of the blank areas. But if you're joining live on Twitch, Twitch TV, Skylar Parr, you can kind of come over and watch. I'll chat with you. And just join in. I encourage you, please. So coming in, this takes a few minutes, but I think my internet connection is fast enough. I think I'm probably peaking out GitHub's bandwidth that they allow. So actually, in the meantime, I'm going to talk about the editor I'm going to use, which is from JetBrains, and it's called IntelliJ. It's free if you use the Community Edition, this one here. If you want to do some commercial stuff for it, download that. I recommend IntelliJ for any sort of software development. It's a good learning tool. I'm curious to see what Core has to offer. Looks like we're installed over here. We're just going to CD into our live game. There we are. And now I'm going to just fire up IntelliJ and build out the project. And this goes with any software development in general. If you decide that games aren't for you or whatever, always build a hello world. And this is what we're going to do today. We're going to build a hello world. If you can't build a hello world, don't even try to build anything more complicated. Usually software gets really complicated, frameworks get complicated, rendering engines get complicated. Build a Hello World, and that'll get you a good start. There's a haxe plugin. I've already got it installed. If you need me to show you how to do that, like I said, let me know. I'll get you started. I just picked the latest haxe XDK, and I'm just going to point at our directory you just created, which is live game. There we go. This tells us that we don't have our excuse me. Git configured, and just ignore that for now. There's our game. Looks like by default, IntelliJ just used the created src directory. That doesn't work for us, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that directory right now and reconfigure it. Oh, excuse me. I need some water, but we'll power through. I'm going to do command semicolon on Mac, and I'll pull us our project settings. It's probably control semicolon on Windows. And we're going to go to our modules and our sources. We're going to move our source, and we're going to click sources and make it our sources. And so that means whenever we are coding, it'll know that's where our source code is, and will give us some code hinting. And we can do this also with Kha. We're going to make this our sources as well. So we can get all the code hinting that we desire, which helps, especially when you're learning a new language or learning a new technology. It's good to know what the APIs are. All right, so there we go. And if I'm going too fast, please let me know, and I'll go back and I'll re-record these, and I'll do it slower and make a more of a question and answer. You know, we'll go slow if we need to. Just let me know. All right, so here we've got the empty. This yes, I'd like to get. We can look at our main. Our main just sets up our view, the actual size of the window, the name of the window. We can call it live game. And when it's initialized, it'll actually create our new empty, which we can call this live game. I did command. Let's try this. I did command F6, but you can actually go to refactor. Oops, rename live game. So we're just going to rename it to live game. Tells you to do its magic for us. And there we go. I'll just say do refactor. There we go. And didn't quite, there we go. So now we're going to go to the live game file. This is where sort of the magic happens for Kha. New is our constructor that gets called automatically or implicitly whenever the live game is created. So you see here it says new live game. It'll create the new. It'll call this function automatically. We're not going to do anything with that right now. And we also get a render function with our frame buffer. Our frame buffer is where the actual graphics will be rendered. So we talk to the frame buffer pretty often when we're talking graphics. If we're not talking graphics, we probably won't interact with the frame buffer. And by probably, we will not. And then update. So what happens is Kha set up it's called the scheduler add time task. And every interval, this is 60 frames per second, it'll call this function, and we can do all of our game logic here. So that's how that works. We're probably not going to work with the update right away. I'll kind of show you how this is going to set up first. So with Kha, we can print to the terminal here. Why not? Actually, let's just run this now. So we just run haxlib, run Kha, your platform, which I'm doing OSX, -- run. And what this will do, will compile the project, and then build it and run it. So this is actually how it's building it out, and this is the actual compilation. And we'll be doing this a lot. So get used to this. It's just part of building games, it's building software. It's a lot easier than it ever used to be, so even though this takes a few moments, it's way better than it used to be, believe me. When computers were slow and only had one CPU core, sometimes a game will take 10-15 minutes to build. But this will probably take almost a minute. And what it does is it actually saves all the build files, and so it'll be faster every other time. And there we go. This is the frame buffer uncleared, just reading straight off the graphics chip. It's going to be ugly because we haven't done anything with it yet. It's going to be random every time, so if we don't draw anything on it, of course when we start drawing on it, it'll not be random. So this is just our empty, this is what's sitting on the GPU right now. It's kind of neat. So I'm going to shut that down and close that window. So let's go back to our code here. And I'm going to kind of show you what this render and update does. If we just, in haxe, is a function called trace, and it just prints it out to the terminal. We'll just say this is our render. And we also have our update. And if we run this again, we'll see that our render and our update get called constantly. And that's just our main game loop. We'll be able to plug straight into that. We'll build some tools that will plug into it and abstract it out for us, and we can just plug into that game loop whenever we need to. As you can see, it says render, update, so it's just calling them back and forth constantly. And so we'll just be able to plug into that update and do whatever we want during that update. We can run an animation, we can move things across the screen, we can poll for a network connection, whatever we want. We can just plug straight into this update. So I'm going to clear out some of this noise here. And let's do, I'm sure that wasn't very exciting looking at the terminal printing out render and update. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to just drop Hello World in the actual game window, and what we'll call that a day. If we can't get that done, we'll get it done. Don't worry about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to the frame buffer. Frame bugger. And we have the different graphics APIs we get to talk to. G1 is for one-dimensional graphics, which is basically putting a color on the screen. G2 is for 2D graphics, drawing images, doing text. And G4 is the fourth generation, which is 3D. We can do 3D objects right on our screen. We're not going to do that right away. In fact, we're going to stick with 2D for a while. If you 3D graphics gets really complicated really fast, and it turns into a lot of effort. We'll do it, just not right away. We're going to stick with 2D for a bit, and once we're ready, we'll jump into the 3D. And I'm actually going to build this game engine to where we'll support both right out of the gate, and that'll be kind of exciting. But for now, let's stick with the, the two-dimensional graphics, and we're going to start it to a variable. We'll just call it G for simplicity, and don't want to type a whole lot of right now. Next, we're going to begin. We're going to tell the render we're going to begin rendering. So it's kind of like in my mental vision, I see it sort of like telling call, like start recording my commands. I want you to run this stuff. So we're going to say begin. And it takes 2 optional variables. We're just going to ignore them. We'll get into that later. And whenever we begin, we need to end. We're going to end. So between begin and end, we're going to render something. Now, in order to render text, we're going to need a font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new directory here. I'm going to call it assets. And we're going to put all of our assets in here. Fonts, images, sound, what have you. I'm going to put this in this directory. And then we need to talk to Kha to make sure it compiles in our artwork. So I'm going to say project, add assets. And you can have multiple directories. We'll probably end up changing this later. But for now, that'll do it. So we're going to say everything in the assets directory, just build it in. We'll need it. And then we need a font. I'm going to jump over to my local machine here. I think I've got something downloaded someplace here. You can get them off the internet. Some of them cost money, some of them are free. You want to use TrueType font, which is TTF. And we're just going to drag and drop this right into assets. Boom. And there we go. There's our assets. Now, Kha has a problem with, well, that I can figure out, has a problem with spaces with the names. So I'm just going to take the space out. Just put an underscore there. And so should be ready to go here. So if we run our builds, should tell us that the asset is actually being added to our project, which it is. So looks like we're good there. I'm going to close that off. I'm going to close off our main, just keep things clean. So now what we need to do is we need to load in the asset. It doesn't just happen automatically, kind of does, but for all intents and purposes, you have to actually load it into our program. This is a good thing. If we loaded everything all the time and run out of memory before the game ever started, so you want to be somewhat clever about how you load in things, unload things. We do have finite memory, and you definitely don't want to send out a game to people that just uses up all the memory and crashes the machine or crashes the game right away. So, and usually people have got Chrome running in the background and YouTube and music, so definitely don't want to go down that path. So we're just going to be smarter about it, and we're going to load our font. There's a function called load everything. We'll use that sometime in the future, but it's more for, in my opinion, kind of a prototyping way of doing things. I like to have a bit more control of what's happening. So we're just going to load our font, and we're actually just going to give it the name that's in our assets minus the extension. So I'm just going to hit rename. I'm just going to copy it so I get it exactly right. Try to avoid typing too much, especially weird stuff. So just in case I make a mistake and spend a lot of time debugging just because I made a spelling mistake. And then I'm going to add a function here on font loaded. So when the font actually gets loaded in the background, so this render could be happening and the font may not be available. And actually I can show you that right now. So I'm just going to, so that we can compile. On font loaded, we got our font. And I'm actually going to change this to private. And well, I'll explain. So private means, well, public means you can access it from any other class. It's not going to mean a whole lot right now, and maybe I won't even do this. But private means it's just particular to this class, this object here. No one else can use this stuff. We'll get more into that later. That's just access modifiers. It gets important when we start getting into the actual design of the engine, but right now we're not touching it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to just create our font here. And if we don't assign it, assuming we didn't wait for the load, in fact, we don't wait for the load. If we just do g.font equals font, it should, well, it will crash. Oops. I'm going to run it. Should crash valiantly. See how it does. So now that we've got a new class, it's going to pull in all the other things it needs to build it, but it'll be cached, so it'll build faster next time. And it should valiantly crash here in just a moment. Didn't crash, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything else either. But so that's okay. So what we're going to do is that we're going to assign our font so that it's actually here. You can use it now. It's loaded. We're going to set our font size. We'll make it nice and big. We'll set our color. Set it to our color. Pink. Why not? Let's do it pink. We're doing it live. We're doing it live, and we're doing it pink. And now we're going to draw a string. We're actually going to write the text right on the screen. So we're going to say hello world. And we're going to place it at 0, 0, which is the top left corner of the screen. And assuming everything goes well, you should see a hello world. Building her up. Make sure I didn't miss anything. There we are, our pink hello world. Isn't that special? So there we go. We got our hello world. We know things are working. We got things rendering on screen. And like I said, I recommend always, don't even recommend, like this is your new Bible. Always build a hello world first. It's essential to making the game happen. It's essential to making any software happen. If you're just going to write a little script that emails your mom or something like that on a regular basis because she calls you too much, start with your hello world, get that working, you're good to go. So what we're going to do now, finally, is we're going to commit this to Git. In fact, it looks like Git added a couple things for us automatically. So I'm just going to say git add sources, git add Kha file, and then let's get rid of the idea stuff. That's from IntelliJ. So I'm going to say git remove idea haxe cached. So it's just going to take it out of the I think I did the wrong thing there. Oh well. Let's just commit it as is. Why not? I think I just removed the file. But it already generates things, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'll, with a message, I'm going to say this is our initial commit with hello world. There we go. So that's committed. And what we're going to do is we're going to add this to the mygit repo. So I'm going to go over here to GitHub. And let's create a new one, repository. We'll call it live game. That's wonderful. We'll put a description later. We'll probably rename it later once we get our game going. And once we understand what game we want. But right now we're just going to call it live game. Right, we're going to create the repository. And there we are. So just going to grab the click this. I'm gonna grab the URL. I guess that's not the URL, but yeah, why not? Say git remote add. Call it Skylar. Paste. I should add it there. And say git push origin Skylar. No, Skylar. That's true. And that should push it up to the repo. So we should be able to go to live game. And there we are. There's our game with our hello world. One more thing I want to do is I need to forget how to do it. I want to tag this. Creating a tag. So I say git tag a. We'll call it what's today? April. No. February 24th. Call it 2016 02 24 at 7:30 in the morning. So let's do timestamp it now. We'll tag that. And so we're going to say git push Skylar our tag push origin Skylar master. Should set up the date. Git tag. So it looks like the tag didn't happen, so we're just going to say hello world. Yeah, that's what did it. So we're going to push to there. So now we got our tag out. We can go over to GitHub. Should be able to see our branch and our tags. There's our tag, and there's our archive. So we can always come back. All right, that's it. Hope I didn't embarrass myself too much for my first video. If you guys have any questions, comments, let me know. You guys have a great day.